So let me first introduce myself. My name is Mark Orr, and I'm talking to you live from Southeast Queensland, from the edge of the Gold Coast. Um, Today I'm going to be talking to you about the building structure in the Allplan. Some of you might already know about this, but I found it extremely important to know this topic because this is the foundation of the Allplan system. This is what makes Allplan different from all other CAD and BIM softwares that are on the market. So let me just start a PowerPoint. So what we're going to be talking today, it's first I'm going to be telling you about the building structure itself. Then I'm going to show you a couple of examples of a different use of a building structure, how you can use it in a different way, depends on the situation, how you are. Um, Then I'm going to be showing you how to setting up the building structure from scratch. So it's going to be also like a presentation. And after that, I'm going to show you a special window in the building structure called Floor Manager, which is especially important for architects. And at the end, if we will still have time, we will just quickly look at the layout editor, which is a completely separate thing, but the logic itself is pretty much similar to the building structure. So we will just mention it very quickly. I see we have Ben. Ben, can I ask you to unmute yourself? Actually, to mute yourself because I can hear some voices. Thank you. And at the end, like Susanne said, we're gonna give you 10 to 15 minutes for any questions. So let's start first to discuss about the building structure itself. I'm gonna just switch over to Allplan. Let me just switch this off. So in here, you can see we have this nice, beautiful project from last year. And the first thing we have to know is how to access the building structure window. So we can do it in 3 different ways. I will show you all 3 of them. Usually you're going to be use only one. So the first one, you can access it through this button up further on the top left. The first one opens a new project. We're going to be using that today a lot. The second one is open a project specific basis. So you can do this one. You can also do Alt and O, and it opens up. And the quickest one, which you're going to be usually using, is that you just do a double click somewhere in the white. So if I double click here, I actually choose the surroundings, the landscape area. And if I do a double click with the left mouse button somewhere in the white, I open the building structure window. So the second thing we will talking about is drawing files. So as you can see here, we have a different files for a different purpose. And to give you a good news, Allplan has 9,999 files available for you. So even when you're doing a large project, you can still use all of them. That doesn't mean that you're going to be using them all the time, but it means that you can only switch between them, and it depends on the performance on your computer. It's going to show you how good of your computer is and how many files can you open at the same time. But you still have access to all of them in this window. So drawing file, it means are usually with the ends with the NDV. That means Nemechek drawing. Basically, Nemechek set this up a few decades ago. So the Nemechek BIM software is based on the previous version in the 80s. So this goes over 30 years now with this kind of a system, and it proves itself as a reliable system. That's why Nemechek is continuing to using it. So about this window that we just saw, we will just quickly go through it. So first on the left, we have a building structure. And in the building structure, we set up our site plan. I'll just quickly close all of those. Then we have some general, a folder with the general drawings. Then we have a building model, and we have a reinforcement model. Then you have a reinforcement for presentation, because this is a template for the presentation model, and some imports. So you can organize all of those substructures as you like. That's what's good about it. So in case we go in a general, you will just see it has a few files assigned to the general area, and those are the the files that shows the surroundings of the building. So this is what it's included in there now, and you can see it here on the 3D. When I switch back, I can also include a building model, which I turn on, and you will see that you have a subfolders for the foundation, for basement, terrace, cafe, and roof. So when I switch all those on, we see that the building appears here, complete with the roof, with the windows, and even have a subfloor, which maybe we can, now we can't see it here. So which we would have to do a, well, we can usually show you just switching off the terrace, cafe, and the roof. You will see just the basement of this building and the slab over it. So with the building structure, you can easily switch between the different views, between the different levels, which we will be talking about it in a few minutes. I just wanted to go to the few buttons around here. So with plus and minus, of course, you collapse all the folder structure, or you open it. You can find the separate file if you know the name, and if you have many files and you don't know where it's hiding. And you can also update. We will go through this couple of buttons later on in about 10 minutes. And we also have some other buttons which insert predefined structural level and insert other structural levels, assigning drawing files, which you can also do with the right mouse button on the general file. Again, we'll do it in a minute. So this is a building structure half of the window, which we can also switch off. And then we have derived objects. Those derived objects are separate drawings, which comes from the model that you create in the building structure. So those are usually architectural views, basically elevations, facades, which we can switch off and see them here. So those facades are actually created from very quickly in a few button press from the general model. We also have a section we can show, and we also have reports and engineering reports, which I'm not going to be showing at all. I'm just to present how this works. Actually, these sections. So we can see the section of the building with the basement and everything. So this is how you navigate through these two windows. And the second part of the window, this right one, has a similar buttons like the building structure. So we can open or close, collapse, and we can also quickly switch back to the building structure. Here we go. So if we continue with the next one, why is it important to use a building structure? Um, the first one is that building structure is actually a management of your project. It's a you are a CEO and you will set up your office, you will set up your project how you want it. I will show you that in a few minutes. And it's important to follow it so you can easily find and work on a different levels, on a different views, different sections, even in the different modules in the Allplan. You can work in a 2D, 3D. You can switch to surroundings, to engineerings, even to the bridge model. Allplan has a lot of different models, which we will not be showing you all of them here, but you can do a quick research online. What else can Allplan offer you? So before we continue, I'll just quickly explain how the drawing file status works. You guys probably, if you're using it, you already know about it. But if there's someone new, it's good to be informed about that. So let me just quickly switch a couple of those off. And I will explain you with these three colors. So each file, let's say a terrain, has a basically four different options that can be. It can be switched off, and I'll switch to the layout. So as we can see, there is no terrain because it's switched off. It can be switched on, but being a gray color, that means it's going to be visible, but in the layouts, you can see it's kind of a gray color. So I can click on it, nothing's going to happen. I only have a couple of options when I open a with the right mouse button on it. I can see that this is just a background. It's like, if you remember in the old days, you have a blueprint which you put on the bottom and then you put a transparent paper on top and start drawing over it. The one in the bottom, it's not going to be unaffected, but you can see it. This is pretty much the same. Then we have a yellow one, and you're going to see it change from gray to black. And I can edit anything here. I can move, I can copy, I can delete, I can do a lot of things. But if I wanted to create something new, if I wanted to just put another wall in it or something, it's this wall, it's going to be written on the file, which is red. So if I switch off the trees and cars, this wall will disappear together with trees and cars, and only the terrain will stay. The important thing is you always have to have one file red open. Otherwise, you cannot close this window. So if I switch this off, you can see that the close button cannot be pressed. Always one file needs to be in red, and that's the file you're going to be working on. And this is probably the one thing that you really have to be careful in Allplan, that you are aware on which file you are active at the moment and you are working on it. That's all I'm going to be saying to you about the changing drawing file status. And now let's just go to the examples of a different use of a building structure. So I'm going to show you a couple of projects that I've done in the past and a few of those presentation projects that we have it open. Maybe my computer is a bit slow and it's going to be opening for a few seconds, so just bear with me. So let's just see the first project that we have here. It's Family Center project. And let me just open it up. This one. So the Family Center project is a rarely new one designed for presentations. And as you can see, again, you have some surroundings a little bit bigger than before, with some parking lots, playground with a football court. And we're just gonna have a look at the building structure here. So again, they created the general folder, a lesson folder, which because it works as a presentation and for a demo for the customers and clients, so they can work in this lesson folder. Then we have a family center, which contains the some planes with a steel structure, surroundings, which of course you can see, as I was talking just a minute ago, it's active at the moment. We can see the foundation, we can see the ground floor and upper floor. So this is the most usual setting for Allplan projects. For if you have a single building, usually you're going to use this one. So I only turned on the foundation, and if I add ground floor, you're going to see the ground floor open up in a few seconds. This is quite a big project, and it has surfaces on the final on the floors and the walls, so that's why it needs a few seconds. And then further on, we can turn on the upper floor too, together with the roof. So as you can see, switching off, on and off, and turning on um, different floors, it's very easy when you have a good building structure set up. So again, it is important to set it up correctly. It's going to save you a lot of time in the future. The same, we have different sections in view, which we're not going to be seeing at the moment because of time. Then let's see, another one is a Pavilion project that I was just showing you a few seconds ago in the previous one. This one. So this one, like I was showing you before, besides having a general and a building model, it has a folder for reinforcement model and reinforcement presentation. So in this project, the guys who were drawing that, they also created the reinforcements for this building. And as you can see, you can just switch on just the reinforcement without the building and be able to see it. And the funny one, so you can easily switch between the different objects. You can easily switch off the Allplan concrete, or just make it a little bit transparent, and you're going to see that also the reinforcement, quite a complicated reinforcement, is made for this concrete statue of Allplan. Okay, so let's go to the next project. Multiple version house project. So this is a house that I designed a few years ago. And how I set it up, I hope I'm going to find the right one. I set it up because the client, a good friend of mine, was choosing between few different houses and few different options. So actually we created option A, B, C, and D. D was the final one, which you can see here in the background. And again, we have a ground floor and the first floor. So a very, very simple house. You can see here with a carport, with a little bit of shed. Easily to create it. And if you're doing with one client and you know it's, or you're gonna later, you'll find out that you have to create a different options for him, or it's very easy not to create a different project at all, but you can create just a different folder and continue with the same project in a different option. So that's one of the options that you can set it up to. Then we have another one, a factory with all design stages. Haven't told you about my background. I'm a civil engineer and a project manager. And this project was definitely the biggest one that I've done in my career. And the land itself, it has 65,000 square meters, and the factory has 24,000 square meters, together with the offices, with the warehouse, kitchen, um, everything that the factory needs. And the funny thing here, or the exceptional, is that the client wanted to have all the design stages in one building structure, because this is what they desired. So as you can see here, first I'm going to collapse. So I have a draft design, we have a building permit design, and then we have a detailed design. And if I open this one all together, you will notice it's a lot of them. And further on, when you open it up, you're going to find out that there is, in this project, we had many people working on the same project, and it contains over 1,000 different files. So if you don't set up your building structure like you should, you're going to end up in a huge mess, and you're going to basically lose yourself in all the drawings in all the files. So just to give you a quick view, how many files was there for one project. And a similar on derived object side, we had a lot of different files, a little less than a building model, but still those are just facades, sections, reports, and a couple of different detailed views. So until you work on a small projects, probably you can still manage it with a regular software, which you can find on the market. For the big projects, Allplan is the thing that can work on. Just to give you a perspective in a number, this project, backup of this project, is almost 1 gigabyte takes 1 gigabyte of memory. If you want to open up a project of 1 gigabyte in, let's say, AutoCAD, which we probably all used in the past, AutoCAD would collapse. There's no way you can even open it. So that's why Allplan was designed for big projects and working in different with different team members on. So I strongly recommend that you set up a good building structure and use Allplan especially on the big projects. Otherwise, you're going to be losing a lot of time and money and nerves just to set up the management of the workflow. Here we have another interesting project that I've done in the past, and it was a little town villa which was built in 1910, and it has a couple of different stages during the lifetime. And it was interesting because I set up this building structure based on the few different things. So as you can see at the beginning, I have a page setup, which I always have. So this is just a frame of the paper and having a header and footer and stuff like that. Then we have a location, pavilion around the house, and a garden fence. So different parts, which actually the demand came from the client later on that we have to include that one in our design stage. And then we have existing plans in 1910. We have modifications in 1910 and actually as built documents in 1910. So this is a conservation project project, and the client wanted to have all the designs through the year because they will set up a museum about this house because it belonged to a famous architect who actually built this house and lived in it. And they wanted to present all the stages, different stages of life in this house. So as you can see, we have a rebuilt in 1927. Then we have a renovation in 2016, which was a proposal how to renovate it. So as you can see, we started with a city plan and focused on one little building, showing also other buildings in the same area built by the same architect on the same street. So it was kind of an analysis of the workflow. Architects know more about that, so don't want to be too long for this one. And I have one more project to show you. And this one, I set it up by myself yesterday, and because I didn't want to show it to you from a previous work, and it doesn't have any drawing files, but it's interesting how to set it up if you have different team members. If you have a server license, you can have multiple members working in the same project. So let's say I set it up that I have a imports and existing plans file folder, sorry. Then I have approved drawings, which is a set of drawings which will end up here. And those are the drawings which we're going to be showing to the clients. Then I have an architects, the team of architects, including senior architects, a couple of team members and a drafter, and pretty much similar with the engineers. And here I can easily assign different files. Let's say that I will assign him 100 files, that the architect can work on it. You can use all of them and assign some more or not. This is a different one, and you can set it up for a different team member. All you need here is an agreement that none of a team member works on the other team members' files. He can use them in a gray area, which we mentioned it before. I cannot switch it on because nothing is in, but it should not modify or even draw anything on that one. So again, this is a quick presentation how to set up a different building structure for a different purpose of the project. So it all depends on your project, what kind of a project do you have. If you have just a simple project, you're going to be using a simple building structure made out of a foundation, first floor, ground floor, roof, maybe garden, that's it. If you're going to have a big project, you might even have a different setup. It all depends on you. So let's see how we can set up the building structure. So I'm just going to start with a complete new project. Let's call it a test project 1. We have a couple of settings which you can have a look at it another time. And ask me where to save it, and we have a new project opening up. This is a complete blank project with nothing in. So the first time you're going to press this button, you're going to open up a building, a menu. So let's just try to create a building structure with a wizard first. So in here, the wizard is already offering us a couple of options. You can tell to the wizard how many buildings you're going to have and how many stories will each building have. So let's say we're going to have one building with 2 stories, and you're also going to need 4 different views, elevations. We're going to use 2 sections, couple of reports, and you can even, it asks you about the plane model and assigning height, which we're going to look at it in a few minutes. And so we can also adjust a plane model. So we're going to have a 3 meters between the floor and the ceiling and the slab thickness of 200 mil. We press OK, and here is our building structure already set up. And I have 2 files because that was also part of the setting already assigned. I can easily assign more files. Just go on the basement, click on the right mouse button. First, I need to make it editable, and assign drawing files. So I already have 11, 12, and I'm going to just add 13 to 20. And I have all these files ready to work on them. And the same with the ground floor. And if I want to have another one, I'll just insert another structural level, another story, which is going to be, let's say it's going to be first floor. And I can also add another structure or another building and add maybe just 1 story, just going to be ground floor. So this is how easily you can edit and modify your building structure. So this was how to create a building structure with the wizard. Let's go to the next one, which is a create custom building structure. And again, I'm just going to open up a new project. Let's call it a test project number 2. Here we have a test project number 2. When we open up again, we have this window again asking us what to do. And we will say, I want to create custom building structure. So it just opens the building structure. It actually creates 10 files just to start doing some drawings. But you can easily set up, which we're going to do just a quick one. So let's say that we will have a site. And in this building site, we're going to have 2 buildings. And one building is going to have a, let's say 3 stories. And one, let's say it's going to be just a shed with 1 story. And you can also assign already to the test project another structural level, which is, let's call it, I usually use any structural levels for imports. So here you can import few different files. Let's say you can put in the PDF, or if you have a DVG or some points from the geodets from the surveyor company, you can put them in. So I'll just assign a few drawing files. And let's say I already have 1 to 10, so I'm gonna go with 11 to 20. It doesn't matter the order. You can even put 9,000 here and have a 5,000 file number 5,000 here and 3,000 here. It's all up to you how you decide to have them. And then in the building, we're just gonna go with the building 1, or let's say a house. And this house has a basement, ground floor, and the first floor. And the second one is just going to have a ground floor. And also for the site, we need a couple of files. I'll just add 5 more files, 21 to 25. So here I'm going to have a surroundings, trees, maybe fence. I don't know yet, but you can easily add more files, or you even easily can delete files, which you just mark them on. And rename them, update them, files with the planes. So this is one way how to set up a different file structure. And also, like I was showing you before, if you have a different members, you can also add any structural level, and you just say this is going to be engineering part, and we will assign them, let's say we're going to assign them 10, 11 drawing files, and engineers will only be working here. When you have a server license, you can even log this and allow the access just to the certain team members, so it doesn't make mixed up. But most of all, there is a communication between them all. So this is how you set up your building structure, create a custom one. And of course, you can just use a building structure from a different projects, which I usually use. That means you create a new project. Let's call it the test project number 3. And when I open up, there is another one, select predefined building structure. This one is more used in Europe because they have these predefined structures already available in Allplan. I never used them before, and as I was talking to the guys, they also don't use them before. I'm not sure exactly why is it in. Maybe from the past, Allplan usually use different options that they were using in the past for the users that they started doing that 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So they are still using this, but this one is the most usable one. Use a building structure from a different project. Just asks you which project do you want to copy, and let's say I'm just gonna go with this hello Allplan, which I showed you before, and I already have a building structure set up. So I have a lesson file folder. I have a family center with the plane surroundings, foundation, ground floor, upper floor. Everything is set up, but there is no drawings. So all the drawings needs to be created and put here. And I already have all the file numbers setting up too, like in the previous project. So basically, when you're going to create the first project and you're going to organize it nice and well, let's say for the residential home, you can use the same project, the same file structure, building structure all over again. You just, like I showed you, you just need a few clicks and you already have a building structure. So if everything goes well, you're going to only set it up once. It depends again on the type of the project. So now I'm going to switch to the building structure floor manager. Before I was telling you that we're going to be looking at the floor manager. Those are those two buttons in the middle of the building structure window. And it's extremely important because it creates your layers of different floors. So the importance of a floor manager is that all the slabs, all the walls, all the structural elements will be connected to the floor manager. So once you set it up, you can also easily change it. So it means that if you want to change the height of the ground floor, if you set up the project and the walls correctly, you will only need few seconds to correct that. And now I'm going to show you how to create it. So floor manager created with wizard. We already started that, if you remember, on the test project number 2, I think was maybe 1. Was number 1. Sorry about that. So in here, we have a floor manager button, and we set it up so it has a basement, ground floor, and it has a foundation. So this is our floor manager. It shows the heights of the different level. So it shows you the structure itself. It can go from minus 10 meters to plus 5.6 meters. Of course, you can adjust that. You have a ground floor, which is going to be 3-meter high, and a basement, which is also going to be 3 meters between the slabs. And the slabs are going to be 200 mils, as if you remember it from before when I was setting it up. Because I don't have any files in here and I don't want to lose time to create them. We'll just go with let's just go with a quick start project. And I'm going to show you how to manually set up and modify the floor manager. No, I want to have this one. So in here, we have this family center from before. We open up a building structure. Sometimes we have to push this button to tell the Allplan that we want to edit something in the structure. Otherwise, it's kind of stays locked. And with the floor manager, we can of course set it up completely. We can delete it and just create a new one. I'm just going to show you how to create a new model. Let's just say, yeah, it's a new model. And I'm going to have a number of stories above the 0, 0 floor. Let's put 4. Number of stories of below. Let's put 1. Okay, let's put 2 just for the practice. And name of the first story above 0, it's going to be a ground floor. Elevation point of unfinished floor. It's going to ask you clear height between unfinished slabs, and let's go with a 3.1 here, just to see the difference from the before. And the slabs are going to be 220 mil. Just changing a couple of things that are unusual so that you're going to be able to see the difference. Thickness of floor slab. Well, let's put this one a bit more. Height of a foundation and absolute max elevation point and absolute minimum elevation point, which is going to set up this one for 15 meters and this one for 13. So here we have a new model with 3 floors, with ground floor, with 2 basements and a foundation. As you can see, foundation 1.5, have a ground floor slab 250 mil, then 3.1 meters between the slabs, and the slabs are 220. You can easily change any of these. Let's say that you want to have an upper floor, it's going to be a penthouse, so a bigger one. And it's going to ask you what to do. So we're going to retain the height below and going to move up all the stuff above. So just move the top level, the roof up, and all the below stays the same. This is how you create a floor manager, and this is how you operate with it. So it's easily to change everything in this same window. But I'm just going to go back to the previous one of Family Center, just to show you how to change something. So let's first see, we have this 3D model. We have a ground floor open, and we also have a foundation here. If you can see it, it's concrete. Let's say that I want to create a basement. So I'm going to go back to the Family Center one, and I'm going to, as you can see, there are some things connected to this floor floor plan, to this floor manager. And those are the window sill, door, windows, steel reference, and surface reference, walls. So different things are connected to this floor manager. And if you're going to change it here, they're also going to change in the building itself. And let's just put another one. You can easily insert pair of planes. New pair of planes, top level, bottom level. And let's say we're going to put it between -100 and bottom level -250. So automatically it pushed down the foundation, and we have another plane, new pair of planes here. Okay. It asks you what to do, and I'm saying that it should move all the elements down. Now we're going to see that the foundation came down for this level 2.4 meters. And I have a space to create a basement. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, not surroundings, but basement I created here. So I just made a couple of walls connected to the new pair of planes, and I have a basement wall. So that's easy. That's how easy it is to create another floor in Allplan. The one important thing that you have to be aware is when you set up, let's say, a new wall, it's going to ask you about the height, and that's already architectural part, but you can have a height which you're going to connect it to the new pair of planes. So you're going to say the top level of new plane, it's going to be the top level of your walls, and the bottom, it's going to be a bottom level of new pair of planes. With, you can adjust the offset or anything. And we know that these walls are going to be exactly in this height. So that's adding a pair of planes and assigning these planes. I had another interesting project which I wanted to show you. Especially architects love this, and it was a project of renovation. The architects wanted to have this split building, how to say it. Sometimes you see this in a different architectural magazines. They wanted to have this building split up so you can see different different types of first floor, of a ground floor, and different types of ceilings and the slabs. So in this case, I created a floor manager with some completely empty pair of planes, which I can just easily adjust them. And let's say I put 5,000 in between. What's it gonna do? Sorry about that. And I'll say retain the height above, move down the planes below, and move all the other stuff. When I close the windows, you're gonna see it just split up the elevations. So the architects who wanted to do that, they told me before what they wanted to create, didn't know exactly how to do it. I just told them this trick, and it worked perfectly. Again, if you set up the floor manager and everything correctly, you're only going to need a few seconds to create that and have a great visual effect in the project. So again, the benefits of a building structure and the floor plan. Now we only have a couple of minutes, so I'm gonna just show you the layout editor very quickly. And I'm gonna tell you the similarity with the building structure and the settings and modifying layout editor. We're not gonna setting up the whole layout. I'm just gonna tell you about the window itself. So layout editor has a different layouts. And in here, you can see you can create pretty much the same. You can insert a structural level, and there are different stages, location, garden, facades, blueprints, and you can add different layouts to the different folder. So the layout system is pretty much similar to the one in a building structure. That's the logic behind the Allplan, and it's beautiful because you can use it in different settings, and you can really adjust it to your own needs. So without further, I think I'm pretty much done with this presentation. So now I'm ready for any questions that you have. I